So hi everyone, the first one of the 15 minutes. We have 8 of these planned for now until Christmas, for December. And then there's going to be a space and time because there will be things being sent to publishers, etc. And then there's going to be feedback and other things. So next spring we'll have some as well. But this is the first of a researcher revealing my practice as a researcher in the hopes that it helps others understand the real confluence of ideas as we pull this off and get published. So I want to say that it says post data and it actually is with data. So there's a typo there. Please go to www.wooclap.com/with data. And because I have that screen up, so I know that's right, with data. And type in questions that you might have as they come up for you about this topic or future ones. Just questions, ideas. You can vote for them too. You can vote them up. And that will give me something to play with in the Q&A section. So this is a series. And at the beginning, it looks like this. I reserve the right to smoosh some of these together or separate them out if it makes sense as we go along. But right now, today I'm going to talk about conceptual frameworks. They are the underpinning. And I'll talk about my process in a batch of research I'm doing right now. Next week, we'll go into significance and then how those things go into the lit and how I've recently there's a lot of new ways to find lit that I'm really having fun with. So I'll share that. I'm currently using MaxQDA as my qualitative tool because it also does quantitative. And I'll show you what that tool looks like. But more than that, I think for anybody who's doing qualitative work, this whole business of coding and how it goes, how you organize it so it all slides together, makes some kind of sense, and then what you can do with that, that's going to be the 26th of October. My results are mixed methods, so that means we've got this whole other problem that comes with multiple data sources trying to feed together, and the fact that when you're writing up, you really can't bore people with too much data. So how do you manage that? Moving from results to findings, how we build a case, coming back to our argument, searching out publications and scoping out the guidelines and beginning to write. So this is great for me. I'm thankful that so many people are interested because it's my commitment that by Monday the 23rd, we're beginning to write these results up. So thank you for being here. There are handouts in the handout section, and they have links to all of those at the end. And if you want to make sure that you're going to be here or see the recording, make sure that you go and you take the time to sign up for all of them. Okay, so let's start the story. It is now midsummer. I am teaching boot camps. I have somewhere over 900 people who have been signed up for things that I'm doing, and we are culling a lot of data. Data from 3 different kinds of boot camps, data from who's coming to webinars, data from who's doing the surveys, all kinds of things are beginning to be pulled in. And I'm very committed that that we have a view on the world which is unique, and that universities are interested in remote learning, and nobody's quite doing what we're doing, so that this will be sexy and these will get published. So I know that. I just have to find the right places and do a decent job, and of course they'll get published because it's very sexy work in the little tiny field that is ours. So I'm teaching conceptual frameworks, and as I'm doing at this time, I'm quoting a book called Reason and Rigor. It's by Ravich, Ravich is part of it. Anyway, in this book, they are saying that the conceptual frame, it's a beautiful book about conceptual frameworks and theoretical frameworks. And they are saying that there's a lot of stuff out there that makes those two things a little fuzzy and a little not concrete enough for us to really work with as researchers. So they wrote this book trying to unpack that. But on page 10, they say that, in their opinion, a conceptual framework is a theoretical frame, and the lit that goes with your personal interest in the topic and the lit that goes with the kind of the field of the topic. I'm paraphrasing, something like that. But as I'm teaching that, being a very visual person, I realize that really what we're talking about is a Venn diagram, and that I believe now, kind of beyond what they said, that it's very useful to develop a conceptual framework for our work that is our personal Venn diagram of the interests we have, whether personal interests or professional interests, and how they go together. And one of those may or may not be theoretical, depending, but let's all try to get to a Venn diagram of what we're doing. And so I did it. So I was testing it on my own. This is my first go round. When you think about remote boot camps, and you think about the work that PD.education does, then professional development is what a lot of people call us, and completion of masters and PhDs, but the lit is really all about PhD completion, is why we do the work. And remote or digital distance learning are the tools that we use, and also this huge growing body of evidence about what works in that space. So it seems simple now, but that's really the juxtaposition of our ideas. So the first thing I want to say about conceptual frames is keep working at it until you have that, oh yeah, this is it. Everything I'm interested in or I want to talk about really goes in that sphere. And there may be, I've done these now with a lot of students, and there may be circles within circles. So I'm working with somebody right now, and he's got this big circle that's a topic, but really a massively kind of semicircle that envelops it is something else. So, you can play, and you can go to any Microsoft Word, and you can download Smart Art. You can go to the Smart Art section, and you can play with any smart art that has to do with relationships, and they're all good. Some are like 3 going together to get an idea, but I use those visuals, and I got this, and this is very good. Now let me show you how it goes on next. So when I drill deeper into that, then you look at the places they overlap. The thing in the middle, that's where I am, but the overlap. So again, they're kind of simplistic now, but where professional development online or professional development and remote is everybody who's doing professional development online or remotely. And that also takes me into the sphere of literature that are all the people who are doing it for industry, because they write more, they have more money, they write more, it's actually more robust lit. Okay, then we have in the middle, we have online tools that have to do with completion, and anybody who's in an online space for PhD is also trying to make their case that their particular work helps people complete, or they tell their stories. So there's some research there. And then there's research about grad students using professional development and outreach. So so those are the 3 places. Now, how is this useful? It's so useful. Okay, so the first part of the usefulness comes from what I was doing it for, which was the review of the literature. This gives me my keywords. I have a lot of lit. I've been doing this work for 15 or 20 years, but the lit over the time period that I've been doing it, and you might have the same challenge with lit as you've been looking at stuff, it slips. Keywords change, ideas, topics change over time. So originally, PhD completion is what I have the most lit on. And for years, I mean, 50 years probably, it was all about socialization theory. So it was all about if we could just get them in, meaning you, we could just get students in and have them be socialized properly, they would all get through. That very simplistic, but now we're more copped onto the fact that it's much more robust than that, and we have so much more complexity in the world of education. That seems like a really simplistic idea to me now, but it's a whole lot of literature that is actually still going on. So I have all that lit. That's in the PhD completion thing, but I now know that really the parts that I'm getting to are much more refined. So this helps me set my keywords when I'm looking for what's happening out there that's new. It helps me sort and segment my ideas and therefore the filing system I set up. And it helps me eventually with my headings and my topic areas. And I will get to that, not next week, but the week after. What I'll get to next week is how it helps with significance. So just a small heads up with that is significance has to do with the span of how many people and why they will be interested in our work. And so it is very helpful there, but I won't give that away. It's also helpful in when we get to results and findings, I'll be able to really segment into these, and that will allow me to segment for publications because we have so much work that I can tell a simplistic story or I can tell an in-depth story of a particular wedge. These same data will be chopped into several pieces that we'll have to define. And this grounds all of that. Very, very important. Because if I don't have a place in my mind where I'm absolutely sure I'm on solid ground, then it's too easy for me to chase rabbit holes. And you may be, I'll just ask you, those in the room, see the little hand in the chat box? Raise your hand if you've ever chased a rabbit hole in research. And if one person just wrote in that they're just beginning, good for you, glad to have you here. And you will chase rabbit holes too, because researchers have ideas and some of the ideas turn out to be rabbit holes. So we've got a few hands going up. Yeah, a lot of rabbit holes. Me too. Sure, all of us have. This is magic. This can help you not chase a rabbit hole. Because if you have an interesting idea or some author is bringing in something that's good for you and it's not on this chart, maybe you need to have a potential rabbit hole file and put those things there and then come back to them once in a while to see if they may have some magic. Okay. That's all I have to say today. I'm keeping these really to 15 minutes, but we will have questions. So if you have questions, type them into wooclap.com/with data. Your space is there. Have a couple of questions that have come up. In the meantime, there is a handout. The handout has all of these links. That makes it easy for you to sign up for the rest of them. And your lit review will help you pin down, thank you, your lit review. This will help you pin your lit review. amazingly. That's what we learned this summer.